This is Dr. Lawrence Jones with Farm Institute with a milk market tidbit on the February 2023 milk production report that USDA just reported, and I'm recording this on March 20th. All right, most of you know by now that I'm not a big fan of headlines, but this was the headline out of the USDA report, and that is milk production was up about 1%. And also, if you're a recipient of the daily dairy report, their headline is milk output grows modestly in February. But what I want to do is kind of break it down as to how I look at the numbers. And so this is a table of what January was, what I call typical February, and then the actual numbers that just came out. And I want to show you how I came up with those typical numbers and how kind of things come together. So let's start with cow numbers, and it came in at 94.17. And we'll look at these from a historical perspective. So a year ago, we were about 93.80. This time, we were actually up a little bit. But from my perspective, this is all general noise in here until we actually see a real trend. USDA is always plus or minus, 20,000 cows basically, and we see them changing them all the time. But to me, this is all just kind of static noise, and cow herd is more or less stable. Because if you look at changes over time, they're huge. Okay, so what we're looking at here is from 9,405 up to 9,417, and those are insignificant numbers that we can't even count that close. Then we look at the milk production per cow. We, said that it would come up about zero point 0.9 pounds basically, and it came up about zero point 0.8. But here are the February numbers. So again, the milk per cow, in my opinion, was right on target. Came back just about exactly where we had expected it to with the seasonality. Maybe just a tenth of a pound short, but again, we can't even measure that close. So from my perspective, this was a very typical February. And if you push me really hard, I could say, well, maybe we have a few more cows and maybe we were down a little bit in milk. But overall, I would just simply say that it was within standard error. And this February was really not much different than all the other Februarys came out. So I would not call it overly bullish or overly bearish. It's just very typical. All right, so tomorrow we will have the global dairy trade. We will have the third national dairy sales report on Wednesday. And then on Thursday, we'll have the cold storage report, which will kind of finish up these early reports for the month. All right, that's it. And I'll send you a little bit more on some of these other reports.